What is up, YouTube fam? Robbie C here. Today we're at a George Ward Park and we're going to talk about a common issue that I think a lot of players struggle with, as well as one that could definitely be holding you back in your scoring potential out there on the course. And it did for me, at least while I was up in Lynchburg. Today we're going to discuss something boyfriends everywhere are afraid to talk about. That's right, we're talking about commitment. But before we dive in, I have to ask the most important question. How are you doing today, John? Are you having a good one?
So catch me if I fall.
So what does it mean to commit to a shot? We have so many options out there for us, and when it comes to coming up to a hole and choosing what we're gonna throw, when we have a lot of discs in our bag, choosing the right option or the right line that we should attack with can be a wonderful or slightly terrifying experience. When we first start out, committing to your shot actually can feel extremely simple because we only have a few ways of attacking a hole. For lots of players, if you don't start out with a forehand or a sidearm, you're going to look at a hole and be like, all right, I gotta throw a backhand. And most of my discs, as a right-handed player, they go to the left. So I need to figure out how I can find some hole up there to get to the basket. We're thinking about this idea of we have to attack the basket, close to the basket at all times. And that alone can be sort of the wrong way of approaching the game. But what happens when the hole shapes off to the right? What am I supposed to do? Eventually you start figuring out ways, maybe instead of attacking through all the woods, because once again, you can only throw little hyzers that boop, hook up, you start experimenting with the turnover, or you get flippier discs in your bag that can turn over and get to that shot shape, or you start working with the sidearm or the forehand. Yet the more we experience and the more we develop, we come up to straight holes like we have here on hole 10, and we have to decide, what am I gonna throw here? So the B location or yellow basket comes in at 274 feet, and it's quite a bit back there. So looking through my bag, I have a couple ideas or things that I may be able to get all the way back there. One thing that you often forget about when you're playing this hole is that it is actually slightly uphill. So while it says 274, it plays a lot closer to 300. I gotta ask myself, can I throw a mid-range like my dune and get it all the way up there? The dune is the easy option that I'm defaulting to right off the bat because I know that I can throw it on a little bit of hyzer, it's gonna stand up and it's gonna fly all the way there. My second option is actually going to be going with a sting, which is in the Z plastic, and if I throw this Z sting, I know that I should have the distance pretty guaranteed to get it there, but I'm gonna have to throw it. If I wanna throw it really hard and really fast to get there, I'm gonna bring the tree line behind the basket into play, and it's not great putting from back there. So I'm looking at these two purple options. Option 3 probably is going to be my hex, which is going to be a little more overstable than my dune, so I know that I can crank on it. But here's the trick between all three of these options, is that once I pick one, I have to commit. I have to say, this is the best option. So one, I'll call it a pet peeve, but something that I think a lot of people can do is they'll walk up and they'll have all three of these in their hand and they'll evaluate the shot. They'll look at it and be like, yeah, I don't know. I think it's the dune. Yeah, here we go. Okay, and they toss it right there, and then whoop, we just send it off. No, but seriously, they grab this dune and they're like, all right, cool, this is what I need to throw. But that thought is still in their mind. And I wanna go through a practice of commitment to a shot means that when I step onto the tee box, I am fully committed to what I have. So being on the tee box already and having those options to the side, what I want to do is I want to start a new habit of when I've stepped into this space, I've fully committed. And I think this will actually help you a lot. I'm going to take these excess options, and before I even get on the tee and toss them off, I'm going to go ahead and just say, hey, you know what? They're not there. Put them in the bag. Do whatever you need to do. And then once I step onto the shot, the only thing that I'm thinking about is not those options or what they were. It is, how do I get this disc to there? And I got to believe in the shot that I've thrown in. First shot of the day, I'm going to commit and just make sure that I can get it there. I threw it right up the fairway like I wanted. but I'm a little short. Now, if I'm playing in a normal round, I like my commitment. I like that I sent it. I like that I went for it there. I threw it basically how I wanted to. It was just, like I said, a little short. So if I'm playing a practice round, then what I'm gonna do is, if I'm playing a practice round, I'm going to ask the question marks during a practice round, what would have happened if I went with the sting? Was the sting the right play? So I'm gonna re-clear, enter the space, and think the sting is the right play. Let's full send it. Whoop. Sting got up there, it's got a 20-footer to the right, and then third option that we did consider here is going to be the hex. Step off the box, reset, come on. So the hex, we definitely pulled to the right. We pulled it offline a little more, but let's go up there and see how those options went. All right, so we're looking at these options. With it being my first throw of the day, I'm not surprised that the dune is the shortest. Felt really good about it, but after we had a couple rips, the hex here, let's say about 25. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, about 25. And the sting is actually sitting back here. This is about a 15-footer. 3, 4, 5, 15, 16 feet. The sting, definitely the play here. I think if I was warmed up, if I was feeling good, the sting definitely could have crushed to the back. We were a little bit hesitant, but that is a failure to commit on the shot. So what am I telling myself here? I have to evaluate, especially if I was playing this for a tournament, was the dune the right option? And I didn't hit it as well as I could because I threw it for the first shot of the day, or is the sting the right option? You can see that the sting held pretty straight, and the only reason it's here is because it hit the ground and it skipped into some roots right here. If that thing holds even straighter, I'm back in this rough, which that's about the only option that it could have done. Is it could have gone straighter because I threw it on some hyzer, it stood up and rode straight, and it wanted to ride straight all the way into this mess. So I think that while the sting is closer, definitely, I still like the option of these two. I think I would say that, yeah, I like the dune a lot. It's curious because the dune is easily the farthest away. Commit to the putt. Bang. Still convert the 2. My guy number 1 is usually way better than my guy number 2 because my guy number 1 does the routine and guy number 2 does not. Dune ends up with a birdie. Sting from behind the tree, the shorter putt. Here we go. Okay. Sting gets the birdie. We believe in the hex. We believe in the putt. We trust the putt. Doing 2, 3, 4. Hex gets it as well. We just threw 6 different putts. 5 of them went in. Didn't commit on the second, but we ended up getting a birdie on our first putt from all 3 locations. So what does this say about commitment for us and the shot? We committed on the first throw. We threw it how we wanted to in terms of the line that we wanted to hit. We ended up with the result that we wanted to because of the putt. And while yes, the sting was inherently better, I trust what I did with the dune and can see room for improvement. So when I'm stepping up to this shot in the future, I'm going to channel that positivity towards the dune and reach for the dune. Now, if I end up with a couple times where I play this hole and I don't get the result I'm looking for, and I'm landing short again and again and again, then I should ask myself, is this still the right disc, or am I trying to force it when there are better options available? From there, I have the chance to reevaluate and go to, let's say, check out the hex or check out the sting in that opportunity. While it's important while you're committing to a shot to pick an option and stay with it, it's also important to make sure that we're evaluating as our game improves and as time goes on. Do we just step up and throw the same shot because it's what we've always done, or should we try to commit to something else? Now, this hole definitely comes to mind when I think of commitment. Only comes in at 186 feet, but you can see based on the slope of the green that it drops off pretty hard to the right of the basket. And this is one where I think that when we think of power shots or full shots, commitment, not really that big of an issue. 276 feet uphill, playing closer to 300. Right now, that is still going to feel like a pretty powerful rip with my mid-range. It's not all that I can get out of my mid-range, but It is a lot of what I can get out of my mid-range to get that distance with that shot. However, 186 feet is not me asking all that I want out of a putter shot. So a lot of times when we step up to shorter shots, if we're throwing a full power, big rib shot, it's very easy to commit to the, oh, I need to throw this as hard as I can. Here we go. The commitment makes sense. The commitment is right there. On the shorter shots, I know especially for me on backhands, instead of committing to the full rib, what I'll do is I'll fluff the shot and whoop, it'll come out early, way more hyzer than I may be anticipating, things like that. So I actually, for commitment, I love playing shorter holes, shorter pitch and putts, because just because I'm throwing with less power doesn't mean that I need to be less committed on the shot. And I think if you were to only take away one thing from this whole video, it could be that right there. Just because I'm throwing a shorter shot does not mean that my commitment needs to be any shorter. For instance, right here, I'm trying to ring up the basket. There's a ton of danger to the right. There's danger behind. If I'm throwing the hyzer here and I fluff my shot, it could go early into all this mess on the right. If I go too committed and too powerful though, I could juice it right up the hill and have a scary putt. So I need to find the line of confidence and commitment to my line. What that's gonna look like for me is I don't want to powerfully throw the shot. I wanna make sure that this shot looks intentional. If I'm committed, it's very hard to commit to anything without being intentional about that commitment. So right there, you can see I throw my shot, I commit, and I hold the line. In fact, it probably wasn't that great to follow that shot because I was so intentional and so committed on the line that I probably stood directly in front of it the whole time. Now, if you're not a forehand player and you're throwing turnovers, I think turnovers is one of the places that we see a lack of commitment the most. Well, not the most. We'll talk about the biggest area where commitment doesn't happen in just a second. But when I'm throwing turnovers, if I'm not committed to the turnover and hitting it all the way through the shot, what most often is going to happen is I'm going to release somewhere back here, which is going to cause the disc to come out a little more nose up, and I'm going to be losing power on its whole way, which most often will not give it the strength to fight all the way out and get to the basket. If I'm going to throw this turnover, I've got to be committed to finishing the shot and seeing it all the way through. Just like that. That was totally intentional and totally why I showed that. I said that and then I'll tell you, I'll bring you into the thought there. As I'm talking about commitment, that is my watermelon polecat that I love a lot, and it's also a watermelon die, so the edges are green, things like that. A lot of green overgrowth. That would be a tough disc to find. So I'm gonna lean in. Precious child here in my hands. This is a pig that flies unlike any other. Gotta have to commit and trust that I can find it, because it's underneath the shot. And this is a great example of two things. One, I'm really bad at touch putter turnover shots. That's why I have a forehand, so I don't have to throw those touch putter turnover shots. And second, I just didn't commit. I didn't commit once again. So we're going to take a faster disc like the Dune and throw it on the turnover, or we're gonna have to commit. Even if Saigai pulls up how my finishing position looked as the disc is flying out, those freeze frames all side by side, I can guarantee you that my posture looks different when I threw the Dune versus when I threw the other two discs. And that right there should just showcase commitment on its own. We want to take a quick moment to say thank you to the sponsor of today's video, Flight Towel. Flight Towel is the premier towel in disc golf, and I'm so grateful for their continued support of what we're doing here on the channel. If you haven't checked out Flight Towel, you've seen it in pretty much all of my videos with this lovely little towel tail hanging off the back. What I love about Flight Towels is that it is a full-size towel. This is their Flight Towel Junior. Full-size towel, and with the carabiner being in the middle, it hangs so that on your bag it doesn't droop down and get caught in all the mess and the leaves and things like that. Super quality towel. This is from a disc golfer, made for disc golfers who are having a hard time finding quality towels that they can connect with. You can support people like Trash Panda with their towels. We have Robbie C towels out there as well. And their premier product that most people know is going to be their fobs, which is a real disc that has been cut into pieces. They recycle their extra pieces. Instead send them over to Trash Panda, but it has this towel with a pocket built in so that you have resistance, and maybe you can't get to the course that day, or you're a weekend warrior only able to play on the weekends. Well, having this flight towel as a main product, you can choose the fob of your choice. This allows you to get practice reps in while getting the feel of the disc in the hand so that you can continue to practice your grip. It has enough space that you can get a full-size grip on there, and it also allows you to get the rep in and get that feedback, because you'll hear that towel pop and that towel create resistance and drag. Super, super great. They also have a new product out there, which is an accessory for your cart, especially if you have a Zuka cart. They have a phone holder that can go on so you can keep score. You can make sure you're tracking, you can get music playing, whatever it may be. Super cool accessory, and you can save on all of those products by heading over to flighttowel.com and using code 128799. That's 128799. It's the PDGA number of a sort of amateur recreational / pro player. It's me. That's my PDGA number. That'll save you a little bit. Fly Towel does not give a lot of discounts, and it's one of the cool ways they allow their players to get supported. Is one of the only ways to get discounts is by using a player's code. So whether it be me or other Fly Towel team members, you can definitely check it out. That's 128799 at flighttowel.com. Thank you so much to Amanda and Scott for supporting what we're doing here on the channel, and definitely go check out Fly Towel if you're looking for a brand new fantastic product. Now, I teased it before, but if there's one area that I think people lack commitment in the most, it's on the putting green. Here I am, circle 2. With the downhill, it's gonna feel a lot closer to 30, but I'm probably about 45 feet away from the basket. I've got 2.5 options here, we'll call them. The first is I don't feel like I can run this putt, and what do I need to do? I need to take this putter and I need to lay it up as best I can underneath the basket, take my 3 and walk away. Why? Because this is a scary putt to run, and I don't know that I can make this putt on a consistent basis. And with a crazy green, rollaways are definitely on the table, so I need to be careful about that. The second option is for me to run it, and when I run, especially these longer putts, this is why I like having the polecat in my bag. It's a lot glidier than even my daggers, which are pretty glidey. And most often, it's not going to be overstable enough that it like crashes in and ends up in a rollaway potential. Of course, I say that. I'm not even going to go with the rest of that thought, because that would show a lack of commitment. Of course, if it misses, then it rolls away. While I need to consider those options when I'm on the putting green, and I shouldn't just be like so gung-ho, I'm running everything, here we go, because that's how you're gonna end up losing a ton of strokes to the field and to the course. If I'm deciding that from here, I need to run this, especially if I'm playing an MPO, I do need to be running these putts, and I need to look at these and take the strokes where I can get them. I need to think about the line, visualize the line, and once I send it, I can't give it a soft run. I can't give it, I've got to just commit. I've got to envision the line that I'm going to throw, and if I want to bring in the risk of running this putt, I have to accept the factors and know that there are no risks, because I'm just going to make this. Look up and address my lie. And what do? Once again, everything on this hole, keep talking about commitment, and I'm just not doing it. My third option, or 2.5, is I can go with the Brody Smith approach and hit them with the scoober. These are 3 opportunities where I have to look at the putt and commit to the putt, but it's just not on these crazy putts. We also can see commitment on normal or standard putts. So let's talk about this dune that landed about 18 feet behind the basket. This is a putt that if I'm standing in my backyard, I feel like I'm going to make 9 times out of 10. Feeling very confident about this, but some things that are going to be different. I've got a branch trying to literally like give me an ear cleaning as it is just climbing right in here. This is going to make me a little uncomfortable, and I'm in a straddle, which for lots of people, it's not going to be that comfortable. So what can happen here, so I can tell myself these are factors or things that are throwing me off of my standard putt. These are factors or things that will allow me to have an excuse built in if I'm unable to capitalize on this putt. But I'm gonna lean in, focus up, and I'm gonna commit. I'm gonna make sure that as I send this putt, while it does slope away from the basket, so for a traditional righty putt, if it's gonna hyzer out, it's gonna go down that hill. I'm not gonna let that be a factor in my head, because I'm just gonna think about making the putt. And I go through my normal routine. This is why we build a putting routine, so that I can focus it up, deep breaths. Man, it's gonna be awesome when we make this putt. Envision and commit. I actually liked the first putt out of my hand a good bit. I let it slip a little bit, and because of that, that's why it ended up on the left side. We made the correction of getting it a lot more flat on the second putt, but I liked the flight of both. I liked the power of both. I liked how it felt coming out of my hands. I liked the height. The only thing that was a little off on that is that putt was a little left, and on these baskets, you can't be anything but dead center, or else congratulations, you're gonna see that happen. If I'm in a tournament or a real round setting, I'm not gonna have the opportunity always, and I know there are lots of people that play with others who are like, oh man, you're throwing 2 putts every time. That is so annoying, and most people won't end up actually saying something about it. If you're gonna be a guy who's gonna be 2-putt Tony, then make sure that you're asking your card pretty early on, hey, I have a habit of throwing 2 putts. Is that okay? Because there's nothing like, oh, this person missed the first one, and I'm walking in like, oh, let me clean up my putt, and then shwoom, here comes the second disc into the basket. So that's just a common courtesy type thing. But if you don't get the chance to correct, you got to look at it and say, okay, what happened there, and did I commit? Did I give it my full routine, my normal routine? And for that first putt for me, I'm saying, yeah, I did, absolutely. I could have stabbed a little more. I could have focused on the extension a little more to finish pointed at the basket and be a little more intentional about that, which is what I did on the second shot, and of course the correction worked. So whether you're looking for commitment off the tee, on your up shots, on shorter holes, longer holes, or even the putting green, I hope that this is a good reminder that if we are not intentional and we commit, the more that we fail to do either of those when we're choosing what we're going to throw, when we're choosing how we're going to take the next shot, take the next stroke, it can often lead to a ton of mistakes out there. Be willing to bet on some of your best rounds that you've played extremely confident, embracing that positivity, embracing that commitment, and knowing I'm doing so good right now. I can't mess up. I just got to keep going. And that belief allows you to commit and be intentional with each shot. And some of your worst rounds most likely were connected to the inability to execute. And because now I'm doubting myself on my ability to execute, I'm failing to commit and remain intentional in what I'm choosing and how I'm throwing the shots. You've practiced, you've put in the time, you've put in the work. Believe in yourself and believe in your ability to execute while you're out there on the course. Be intentional and commit, and I promise you, you're gonna see positive results on the other side. While this video is very simple in its idea, I hope it is extremely helpful the next time you're out there on the course and things may start to be unraveling, that you can just tighten it up with this idea and this belief. In the meantime, as always, I wanna say thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an amazing rest of your week, and you can make it fantastic for someone else too. But for now, we're gonna leave you with the birdie.